The Panos Skordi Encounter.
Hi, this is Panos here with Sheldon Hess to discuss his experiences as a recently graduated actuarial analyst and advice to incoming undergraduate students. Sheldon has just started his internship. Welcome, Sheldon.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to just shoot off a few questions to you. I'll start off with the first one, which is, when did you decide you wanted to be an actuary?
Yeah, I actually decided that I wanted to be an actuary the sophomore year of high school. So originally I was planning on being an accountant, generally because I just like numbers and was good at math my whole childhood. But then I took a career quiz for a class that I had to in high school, and actuary ended up being my number one match. So I had no idea what it was at the time. I looked into it and I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. And it looked kind of similar just to being an accountant because I didn't really know all the details. But that's when I decided I wanted to be one his sophomore year. And it hasn't changed since.
What actually attracted you to the profession?
Yeah. So once I got the number one thing on the quiz and I started Googling it a little bit, I found an article saying that it was the number one ranked profession in like people's enjoyment with their job. So that initially reeled me in. And I knew for a fact that I didn't want to go to school for more than 4 years. And I generally just kind of like teaching myself better anyways. So the actuarial profession was kind of the best of both worlds there, where it was only going to be a 4-year career or 4-year college path. And then also I was going to be happy with my job and 4 years of school. And then the exams I can teach myself later on. So that's what drew me to it.
So how helpful would you say your university degree was in preparing you for both the actuarial exams and for your internships?
Yeah. So I personally like learning things on my own, as I mentioned earlier, rather than a class format. So the university coursework as a standalone, when you're taking 5 classes a semester and only 1 or 2 of them are really to prepare you for a professional examination. I don't think that the classes are going to be the best way to do that because the exams are extremely in depth and require your full attention and hours of practice. And that's not really something I expect a college course to require. So in general, you're going to be doing, studying on by yourself outside of the classwork. So it was good in getting me a base knowledge and expecting what the exams will be. But I think where the university degree actually helped the most was in terms of getting networking and other connections, because I ended up getting my internship actually through a classmate who referred me. So I think the social aspect of the university degree helped a lot more than necessarily the coursework.
I mean, that's good to know that networking is really part of being at school, which I think is sometimes overlooked. How early would you recommend a student who's still at university begin their professional examination journey?
I would begin it as soon as possible. It could even be before your university experience. The main thing for me, I think, is as soon as you take Calc 1 or Calc 2, and I think it's just Calc 1, especially for FM, that you can get started on exams, because you can just download CIA, the Infinite Actuary or Coaching Actuaries, and start learning all the material you need to know through there. You don't necessarily have to get to the class that in college that requires it. And so the earlier you can get started, the better, because there's always chances of failing. And even if you don't fail, then you can just rack up the exams throughout your career once you're ready to start. And really all you need is the math background and then, the time to put in.
Right. So which professional examinations do you think students should have already passed before graduation or by graduation?
Yeah, so this question's kind of a gray area because it depends what they're trying to do. But in the situation where they're expecting to get a full-time job after college, you definitely want to be sitting around at least 2. I would recommend P and FM. That's generally the first 2 that people take. But to be sitting pretty well right now, you should have 3 exams passed. Generally, the first 3 are P, FM, and IFM. After that, you're going to be sitting pretty well if you get more than 3 exams passed. 4+ is definitely going to be good. And after that, after the first 3, people bounce around a lot. So I don't know, STAM or LTAM, but definitely P and FM passed by graduation. If you can do P, FM, and IFM, if you started early enough, or whatever, that's definitely the 3 you're going to want to have done.
So how early would you recommend students find or begin to look for their first internship?
Yeah, I think realistically in the actuarial world, you're not really going to get hired for specifically actuarial internship without an exam passed. So my personal recommendation for actuarial internship is the first summer after you pass an exam. Other than that, you could get an internship that's not actuarial related before that, especially if you're in your junior year and still haven't passed your first exam. Just getting any like insurance related or really any internship on your resume is going to help you out. But first summer after you pass your first exam is a great time to start looking.
How many internships would you say would be a good number to have before you graduate?
In most cases, I think one is fine. I've seen people get jobs without having an internship, but it's definitely more difficult. So I think the ideal number is one. As you get over one, you're just helping yourself out. It's not for the company at that point or resume at that point, because one will get you an interview at most places. Any over one, you get to see two companies, you get to see two actuarial roles or more before making your decision on where to start your career. So it just gives you a better idea of the overall actuarial role realm. And so, one to get a job, maybe less, two to really start helping yourself out and getting your feet wet.
So what challenges did you have to overcome during your undergraduate days?
Yeah, I think the main challenge is just balancing college life. What I mean by that is balancing the coursework, studying professional exams. That's almost like two classes on top of your 4 or 5 you're taking. And then also probably working a job part-time or full-time on the side, family, friends, college activities, still trying to have fun and enjoy your experience. So, just time management, I think, becomes one of the more difficult things. And then, day in and day out, making sure that you're studying for the exam. Consistency.
So consistency, I would agree very strongly, is definitely the key. If you could change anything about your undergraduate journey, what would it be?
I think this might be a common one, but I wish I had forced myself to take more exams, and especially start earlier. And kind of going hand in hand is I wish I had known some of the info that, your podcast is going to go over about the actuarial career that I didn't know as early, or I didn't know necessarily when to start taking my first exam. So I just didn't. And so had I known that, I think I'd be in a better place now. But yeah, definitely just taking more exams or taking exams earlier.
Other than taking the exams earlier, what is the best advice you could give to an undergraduate student who wants to become an actuary?
Yeah, so I mean, start passing exams now. that's the biggest thing for an actuarial student, because that's what's going to set you apart from, just a student and an actuarial student, because you can have an actuarial degree, but if you have no exams passed, you're not going to get a job. You need the exams passed on your resume. Another thing is going to be to build your resume with other actuarial related things. So like I said, if you can get an insurance or actuarial internship on there, or if you can get actuarial case studies you participated in, or maybe even one actuarial club involvement, that's definitely going to help you get in the door for an internship. And those things become even more important if you're trying to get a full-time job and you didn't have an internship. So you can just add little things here and there that aren't necessarily the big ones. Another thing is kind of touched on is making friends with other people studying for the exams and that are in your classes. Just because they're going to be able to hold you accountable, you can hold them accountable. And it seems like everyone's doing what you're doing. So it's not like you wanted to go to a party tonight, but your friends aren't. No, they're all studying for actuarial exams. Become familiar with technical skills like R, SQL, Excel, and really all the technical skills that I'm sure you can find a list of for actuaries online, but coding is becoming a big thing that'll be needed for actuaries. And another one that may be overlooked sometimes is practicing your social skills, because you're going to need them for both interviews. So practicing interviews, but also explaining your results to your peers in a way that's not an actuarial wordage. So just being able to explain your work to someone who's not an actuary is super valuable right now. And it's actually what a lot of people are looking for, or recruiters are looking for in actuaries. and it's what's setting people apart at this time. And I think the actuarial world is becoming a lot more challenging, or competitive is the word I was looking for, because with coaching actuaries, exams have become easier to pass. So there's going to be an increase in the expected amount of exams to be passed before college and before your first full-time job. So, you got to make sure you're making up for that and setting yourself apart with social skills and all the other things, technical skills, etc.
Yeah, that sounds like really good advice there, Sheldon. Thanks for sharing that. And I'm sure that's going to be very helpful to a lot of undergraduate students. Sheldon's contact details will be included in the description. This is your host, Panos Skordi, on the Panos Skordi Encounter. Take care wherever you are.